what better way to show adjustable actuation point than with the keyboard itself. I have here my Lekker Edition keyboard set up. I have my screen set up over there. And I have it set to 0.1 millimeter actuation. So it's super sensitive right now. I can brush over the keyboard. It doesn't activate. That's what we have the calibration for. But as soon as I press the key slightly, so I have here the M key I'm pressing 3 times slightly. And I can do the same with the N key, pressing them slightly 3 times. And activates already from the start. It's crazy sensitive. So I can do here with the J key, wiggling it around. And it doesn't activate the J. Sometimes it might activate the J if you're wiggling very aggressively, but you're actually slightly pressing it down in that way, and then it activates. It's really sensitive at 0.1 millimeter. I really do not see the point of doing it, but it is freaking cool. So let's change it to 4.0 millimeter and see what that looks like. Alright, removing all the text. Right, so now it's set to 4.0 millimeter. If you read the whole blog, then you know that we haven't finished calibration yet. So that means at the end of the press it can vary per key. And I can demonstrate this. So first let me show you what 4.0 millimeter actuation port looks like. So with the N key I'm pressing it down all the way before it activates, and here I hit the end. And I can do the same with the J key as before. I press it all the way to the end and it activates. But then when I press that M key, I can press it all the way to the end and it doesn't activate yet. Now I'm slightly touching it till the end. I can feel a hard surface of the end, but I push it a little bit harder and it activates. This is because of the calibration issue that I talked about before. We haven't done endpoint calibration. If there's endpoint calibration, then it would activate actually when you hit the end of the switch, just like the J and the N key. But now this endpoint is a little bit different from the other keys, hence the calibration is needed. But it does bring up something else which is really cool. And that we've been thinking about is when we calibrate the keys, we can set like this is the beginning point, this is the ending point based on switch distance. But since you can actually press the key harder into your keyboard, you can get a little bit further than just the 4 millimeter range. You can actually have kind of like a pressure sensitive extra press. Now, like hardware wise, it's not supported, this kind of feature. But that would be a feature that we could implement if we had the design, the keyboard design for it. And it's something that will try to allow you to tweak so you can play around with it. But yeah, we can do that kind of cool stuff. I hope you enjoyed looking at the actuation point. You should check out the other video, which is rapid trigger. And rapid trigger is also freaking amazing.